Hi, I'm Drew, a drag queen living in LA with my husband, my dog, and a Subaru Impreza.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm Grant. I'm a former pastor living right outside of Orlando with my wife, my four children, and not a Subaru. But on this week's
unfortunately.
episode, I show Drew some AI generated ladies. I don't know how
Yeah.
they're showing up in my feed. I just want to be my wife watches this. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
how it
they
shows
just
up.
do. And
They
it's
just
and
do.
they're unsettling. And we finally get to that point in Twinnuendo where one of us cries. Who will it be? The straight one or the sissy?
No.
Stick around to find out. Also, I do talk about my coming out story and I do get rather real. So, just trigger warning, we do discuss SA and families being families. So, if that is upsetting to you, maybe skip this one and we'll see you next
Take care
week.
of yourself. Take care of yourself, everybody.
And take care of others. Enjoy the episode. Hi, welcome to Twinnuendo. I'm Drew, and I'm gay.
And I'm Grant, and I'm not. But I'll tell you what I am, Drew. Do you know what I am?
What? You are
Offended.
what you are. Oh,
I'm offended by you. So before we
okay.
recorded
Get
this
in line.
podcast, we spoke for a moment. We talked. We
Mm-hmm.
we did a little catch up, if you will.
Okay.
And I've been wearing this sweet mustache the whole time, and you haven't mentioned it once.
I didn't know that's what it was. To be fair, I didn't know that's what it was. I will be honest with you, Grant. It does not translate. I think we're too far away. I think even in person, I might think it's a shadow. We were not meant to grow facial hair.
I was in
Do you think we
Alabama
ever
this
will?
weekend. We
Ew.
do.
Sorry to Alabama. Why were you in Alabama? What happened?
Family
You
trip.
okay?
We went on a family trip. Angela's sister's in-laws have a lake house in Alabama, and so we
Which
went,
in-laws?
had
We
a
can
had a
bleep
great
it.
time. You remember the girls? Of course you remember the.
Remember the girls because one of their sons was in show choir with me, and we were at a
Yeah.
show choir party at his house, and his
Mhm.
dad, in front of all the other dads, called me a faggot.
Did he?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. His dad was super, super homophobic and bullied to me. And I wasn't an out gay kid. I was just an effeminate kid. And I remember I was at the
Oh,
house, all the dads were standing in the kitchen, and I walked by and I heard him call me a faggot.
that's so
He's
weird. He
super
came on to
Christian.
me this weekend.
Super Christian. He
I
bullied a
didn't even know
child.
that.
I just want you to know that he openly
Well,
bullied a
I
child.
don't I don't doubt it because the way that he spoke to our kids, like our kids hated him. Like we got in the
He's a
car
very
and they were
bad
like, "That
man.
jerk." They
What
hated
did he
him.
do? Now I need to know. What did my adult high school bully do?
Just the like way he would talk down to people. They were in the boat. Jude didn't want this particular life jacket. They had like a bunch of life jackets, and he said
Sure, sure.
something like, "Oh, is it not match your panties, Jude?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a
and
monster.
Jude was pretty upset.
Listen,
And it didn't match his panties,
I don't know why
motherfucker.
some service members come back and some don't, you know? Like how did he get picked? Okay.
Well, he was in the
Well,
guard.
welcome back. I'm so sorry that you had to spend time with that horrible family,
Well, my
but
point
it
is
sounds like you had fun.
I got back from Alabama. We had a great time. The kids had a great time. So when I got back, I just shaved all of this and left this sweet, sweet stash.
I have to say, out of the two of us right now, with your stash and your haircut, you're giving gay one right now. I'm giving YouTube conspiracy theorist. You're giving gay daddy just got out of the military and is ready to bully a kid.
Yeah.
Um,
Does your webcam match your panties, Drew?
it does. Thank you so much for noticing. I
Can I
upgraded my
see them?
webcam. I upweighted my webcam.
Nailed it.
And I
I wish
have
we
a
could
brand
edit
new
stuff.
computer being delivered today. It's a huge purchase and it's like it's a
Well,
life-changing purchase for me.
your computer that you're working on right now is, I believe, from the Obama administration, if I'm
Yeah, actually
correct.
Obama gave me the computer for free because I said I was gay. He
You gave me
rewarded
the
people
inspiration for
for being
change.
gay. Thanks to, in large part, to one anonymous donor and then a bunch of other
It was
viewers of
me.
IMHO donors, I was able to buy a brand new, upgraded, like top of the line MacBook Pro, and it's gonna change my life. And
I'm
for
excited.
those of you who don't edit, okay, it requires a lot of your computer and
It
specifically of
does.
your RAM. The RAM I have on my current computer is 16 gigs. The RAM on my new computer is 128 gigs. Do you understand, Grant? You're
Hmm?
the Apple nerd, not me.
What?
I'm trying to relate to
What?
you.
Something about rams?
Anyway, yeah, I
God
upgraded
provided a
my
ram for
computer, I
Abraham and
upgraded my
Isaac, so
thingy, and I
he wouldn't have
upgraded
to kill his
my other
son.
thingy, and I put a little blue light on it, so because that's what
Mhm,
Gen Z does, and they say,
mhm.
"Let's talk about boomers."
Yeah.
Anyway,
You realize that to them, we are the boomers? They could make a second Forrest Gump because it looked at,
they
like, the
shouldn't.
last 40 years,
They
and
shouldn't,
now
though.
it's been 40 more years since the
They
movie
shouldn't.
ended. But they
Yeah.
could.
The soundtrack to Forrest Gump, the 2
I do know
CD
it.
soundtrack to Forrest Gump
Yeah,
was
I
one of my
remember.
first CDs.
Yeah, I
That's
remember it.
strange. Why
No,
that?
it fits you.
Why? I didn't choose it. It was a
We
Christmas
actually
gift from Santa. Santa was fucked if he thought I was listening to that.
On the way to school this morning, I take my kids to school and then take my wife to work because we have 1 car because money. I
You
was,
only have
on
1
the way.
car
Yeah, our AC went out, like, I don't know, a month
with
ago or
4
so.
children?
We all fit in 1 car. I just drive
Oh
them
my
everywhere.
god.
So every
Okay.
morning at 6 o'clock, we're all 6 in the car, just cruising.
Ugh, your
We just don't
life
have
is
the
so
money to fix it.
stressful. I know.
It is what it is.
I'll find it.
No, we're fine.
I'll return the
We're fine.
computer. I'll return the
Please
computer.
do. Return the computer and buy me a car. We were on the way this morning and we were talking about Forrest Gump. And the reason we were talking about it was I remember mom reading the book for jury duty. Mom was on jury duty during Forrest Gump. And I remember asking mom and dad if I could see the movie because at the time I do remember it was a big deal.
Yeah, I
Everyone
do
was
remember
talking about
that.
Forrest Gump.
Yes.
And so I was like, "Can I see the movie?" And this was my father's response.
Oh,
They
no.
used the Lord's name in vain. Now, if you remember,
Which he
uh,
did all the time.
my dad's favorite curse word in the world is goddamn.
Yeah,
And
he
if you
loves it.
remember, that's not what the scripture says, by the way. That's not what it means to take the Lord's name in vain. It's bullshit. It's an evangelical thing. So that was why he told me not to watch it. Now, if you've seen Forrest Gump, what else happens in Forrest Gump?
A lot of really bad stuff.
Like
Yeah,
SA against children,
not good.
like
Drugs.
beating
Drugs.
women,
Drugs.
drugs, death,
Yeah,
war.
lot of
Yeah,
death.
shrimp, which no
Yeah,
kid
but
should see.
have you ever
Shrimp's
been to a
gross.
Bubba Gumps? I hate shrimp. Have you ever
I
been to a
have
Bubba
been
Gumps?
I have been to Bubba Gumps, uh-huh.
Isn't it fun? I think it's
That went a different
fun.
way. That went a real that okay. I thought you were
I
about to
love
be like,
it.
"I can't believe we go
No.
to Bubba Gumps." Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's fun, it's
No,
fun. I like that.
I don't give a fuck. There's a
I
Bubba
like that
Gumps
stuff.
in the City Walk, the Universal City
Mhm.
Walk,
Yeah,
like down the
yeah, there's
street,
one
and
here.
it's right next to the movie theater we always go to. And I always
Yeah,
think like
same here,
one
same
day
layout.
when we get out of a movie, I'm going to Bubba Gumps. I haven't made that happen yet.
I love all those kitschy,
Me too.
chain, terrible there's one
Johnny Rockets,
have you ever heard of
get
Ford's
out of here.
Garage? Do you have
Ford's
those?
Garage?
So
No. Is
Ford,
it
the
Henry
car
Ford?
maker, they open their own
He was a
restaurant. We
bad
have
guy.
one right down the street. Your napkins are shop, like,
Cars.
rags,
Oh,
and when you like, the urinals are oil drums,
cars. Oh,
and
sure, sure, sure.
the sink is, like
A
a
car.
hubcap or something,
Oh, right,
and
right.
then the car outside
Is a car.
no, it's like a bar. So there's, like,
Oh.
all kinds of cool stuff, but I love that stuff. It's stupid.
Did
The
I take
food's
you to
overpriced.
there's a place
Live
here
your
in
life.
Studio City called Carney's, and it's just like a hot dog thing inside of a old train. You just sit inside a train
I like that.
on
No, you didn't take
Ventura.
me there. My 2
Oh,
favorite things
I'll
in the
take you
world,
there.
trains and hot dogs, and you've never brought me there.
Really?
That's cool. But I've been to Fat Slut, so
You
you
know,
really know your
trains
brother.
and hot dogs is a really good way to ease people into the LGBTQ plus of it all, because trains could
Yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
trans. RuPaul famously, you don't know this, but RuPaul tweeted
I do.
out
You
she
don't
was
know.
getting a lot of criticism because for a long time she wouldn't allow trans women on Drag Race, and she was getting a lot of blowback from that, rightfully so. And she tweeted out the trans flag, like in support of like, but I support trans people. And it
Just
said
don't come on my
trans rights or
show.
whatever.
I support you. Just stay the
But
fuck off my show. Get on the
she
train,
Googled wrong.
trans.
She Googled wrong and was actually a flag that represented trains. So
I'm
she
sorry?
tweeted out, yeah, it's a flag used on trains instead
You know
of
what?
the
People really
trans
loved it
flag.
when we Googled stuff, and I
It's
am
green. The trans flag is
train
beautiful, Grant.
flag.
The trans flag
I
is
know the trans
pastel
flag.
blue, pastel pink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Trains flag is two different color greens. It's not good.
Yeah, I just pulled it up. That's excellent. What a
Yeah,
cool
so
tweet.
she did that, but also
Doesn't she have
hot
people?
dogs,
Doesn't she have,
penises.
like,
Yeah, but
assistants?
sometimes I think she just really wants to do it on her own. Didn't you see she posted a TikTok of her parallel parking? There's no way that more than one person was involved in that decision.
Yeah, I think I didn't see that.
I love
Proceed.
her.
What about hot
Anyway,
dogs?
they're penis-like. So, Grant, today, we are here
They
today
are. Mhm.
to discuss what? You
Oh,
always know
wait.
what we're gonna talk
I
about.
know, I
Oh,
know, I know,
sorry.
I know, but I wanted to show you something. AI, Drew, AI,
Mhm.
it's here. Have you ever generated AI images?
Yeah,
I
of
know you
course.
talked about the Trump, Kamala
Kamala, yeah.
9/11.
I tried to get a photo of Amelia Earhart flying into the towers,
That's
but
right.
I was unable to find that.
That
I couldn't
classic,
do it.
classic bit. I want you to know that when I'm on social media, especially on Instagram, if I go to like the Discover tab, there's all kinds of AI images that populate my Discover tab. So when I
Why?
look at, I think because I really like technology, my Discover tab is like all technology and the
Pull up your
NBA.
Instagram Discover tab right now, and I will do the same, and let's show each other.
I'm using my phone.
Oh, okay, never
I'm
mind.
sorry. But here, but I've pulled up the AI
Mine is
images
all
that
body
keep showing up.
transformations of shirtless men
Okay, I
and
like it.
women getting nose jobs. I love plastic surgery Instagram.
I can't handle it. I'm glad people get it done. I'm glad they're happy with themselves. I'm not a surgery person. I get a bunch of NBA posts and then I get a bunch of weird technology posts. Those are like the only things I look at. But I also get these. These are the AI images. I'm going to share my screen to you.
Grant,
What?
one of the Kens from the Barbie movie just followed me on Instagram. Ah, oh, Chris Evans'
Oh,
brother, Scott
window.
Evans.
Oh, cool. That's
Chris
awesome.
Evans' brother just followed me on Instagram. Grant, that's fun. Be
That is
fun. Be
fun.
excited. Thank you.
Yeah, not Captain America. What's lower than Captain? Sergeant America.
Well, he's gay, so he shouldn't be
Oh,
serving in
sergeant,
any capacity.
communist, sergeant, communist, sergeant red. All right,
Ah, that made my day.
can I show you what I want to show you now?
Oh, sure.
These are the AI images that show up on my Instagram. Here we
Okay.
go.
Wait, though. They look great.
They're old ladies with giant boobs.
Actually, if you read the caption, it says 50 years old woman. So
It gets
that's not
better. I'm not
old.
done.
They're
I'm
not
not done.
old.
Here's another one. One of the things I like
Wait, why
about
are
them,
you only getting images of older women with big boobs?
it's a really great question.
You have to look at that in order to receive that on your Discover.
I've looked at a ton of AI generated stuff. Again, I get all this weird technology stuff. So I definitely have a lot
But
of
you
weird AI
keep
images.
getting big
I keep
boobs,
getting these.
old
I
ladies. Okay.
understand the boobs. That's fine. But what about why these old ladies? Anyway, I love the detail.
So
Like
they're
see
only
their
10
arms?
years older than us. Let's just
They're definitely not. Let's
say
just go
that.
ahead and be
Well,
clear about
they're not
that.
real, but 50 is only 10 years older than us.
What about this?
Okay, now
What
I
would you
love
do?
that.
What would
I
you do
love
if you
that.
walked into you
Happy
walked
for
into the
her.
nursing home and here comes Ethel and Janice.
My heart would go out to them because you remember Mama had giant tits and she had a breast reduction surgery because it hurt her back so much, even when she was sitting down.
Can I tell a funny mama boob story? But I want to keep showing you
What?
these. Hang on, I
How do
have a
you
funny
have a
boob story.
funny
I'll
Mama
tell you.
boob
I'll tell you.
story?
I'll tell you. Hang on, it
Okay.
gets better. Boom.
Yeah, Grant, I don't like this. I don't want to do this. This is not for me. I think her body is beautiful.
Oh my gosh. Why is that a thing? Who's making
Why
those?
why are you getting them though?
I don't know, but let
You're
me tell
avoiding
you.
the question. You're no, 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 no. You can figure out a lot,
Let
Grant.
me let
You
me
can
tell
figure out a
you.
lot. Why are you getting those images?
Listen, I'll admit I like boobs. I've said that from day one. Boobs are great. No one's gonna
But
argue
why
that.
old boobies?
I don't know. Drew, truthfully, I don't know. But
Hmm.
I know that the Lord works in mysterious ways, and I think he's trying to tell me something.
What do you think he's trying to tell you?
Mama was in, do you know this? This was when Mama was in hospice. They had taken her to the hospital. People in hospice go to the hospital all the time. I don't remember
They
why, but
love
she
it.
was in the
They
hospital
love it.
again. She would she was laying on the gurney in the hallway, and Mom is sitting next to her, and Mama is laying like this, and Mom goes,
Crossed
"Mama,
arms.
Mama,
Audio listeners.
what is that?" Oh yeah, Mama was laying down with her arms crossed on her chest. "Mama, what is that?" And she said, "Huh?" And she said, "Under your arm, what is that?" And she goes, I don't know, baby." And then my mom said, "Mama, that's your titty. Pick your titty up, put it back on your chest." It was hanging off. She
Oh,
had to pick it up
mama.
and put it on her
She ha
chest.
listen, she had a lot of it. She had a lot
Isn't
of
that
and that was
excellent? "Hey, mama,
after
pick up your titty and
the
put it back on your
reduction.
chest."
Mama
She's a
was
blessed woman.
hot. She was
She's a
hot. Do you
blessed
remember
woman.
she used to well, I don't wanna talk about how hot mama was.
I
Anyway,
kinda
what
do.
are we talking
After those
about?
AI images, I
Okay.
kinda do. I told you this, that I would like to have this conversation, and you have graciously accepted. One of the
Yeah.
things that you've said to me, or you've said to, I'm sure, many people, is that when you were a kid, you knew you were
Mhm.
different. Like, when people say, like, "When did you know you were gay?" You've always said, "Well, when I was a kid, I knew I was different." Now, listeners who have had the same experience, maybe this is gonna be so boring for you because 'cause you're like,
No, I'll
"Yeah,
make it really fun.
I knew that feeling." I don't know what that means. I don't
Mm.
understand what that means, and
What privilege?
I'd love to know what that's like. I can't think of many things more scary to a child than to look around and feel different in any way. So to feel like you're different than everyone in your family, and
Mhm.
then, like, you also lived through a church who was obsessed with sex.
Obsessed, yeah.
I mean, that's all our church ever talked about. And so,
Mhm.
I mean, that's the purity movement is they're worried about everyone's genitals are doing at all times. Mine are moving around right now.
At
So
our age?
I know they really don't move much anymore, like an old dog.
Yeah.
But when they get
Let
up,
it
it's
rest.
exciting. It's exciting when they
For
stand up. You're like,
everyone.
oh,
But you can't
oh.
get too excited, you might scare him.
So, Drew, truthfully, I just want to know, like, can tell me what it was like. Like, so starting from the beginning, you knew you were different. What does that feel like? What does that mean? You knew you were different. I mean, you loved The Wizard of Oz, and Judy Garland came into your heart at an early age. That
Judy
seems like,
Garland, she was in our house because dad always had TCM on. Whenever she was on, I did ask a lot of questions about
can I
her.
ask
But
you a TCM
yeah.
question? I am, and maybe it's different because we had different childhood experiences, but when it's like rainy outside and I'm like all cozy, I want to put on a black and white movie.
Okay,
There's
let me tell you
something
this,
like I
Grant.
feel like I'm back on our old down feathered couch, that orange
The
couch.
orange couch, I loved that couch.
Oh, it's a
Can
wonderful
I
couch. I hope it's
Okay, I
okay wherever it is.
just had this conversation. I just had this realization, this exact thing you're talking about. When I was
Yes?
in Chicago,
Yeah,
I
we all
stayed
remember.
with Michael, my friend Michael Marino. You know him, of course.
Mikey,
Oh, Mike.
I like him a lot. He's so
He's the
nice.
best. This building comes with cable, like, provided to all the units, so he always just has TCM on, always. He's like, "I just like the comfort of it. It just makes my house feel kind of cozy and warm," and it was fun, but I didn't really think about it. Anyway, then my mother-in-law came to stay with us,
Bet
and
you
she
love her.
needs cable because I bet you know your mother. She needs cable, so I got YouTube TV, and last
She
week
does need cable, doesn't she? Mom and
she
dad are the
does.
same way. Why? Why do they need it? They like to
Because
flip,
that's all they
and
know. They like the
they like to
yeah.
flip, and they like to come in the middle of a movie. They don't want the beginning of the movie.
Okay, but last week I just wanted something on in the background as a
Yeah.
distraction, and I thought of that. I was like, "Oh fuck, we have TCM now." I put on a movie. I put on How to Marry a Millionaire, obviously. It was so comforting on top of the fact that it had just started. And even though I could have picked it in the streaming, I could have started it myself. There was something so incredibly satisfying about watching it live.
Hitting it
You
at the
know?
right time. Someone else put it
Yeah.
on. There's other
There's
people watching
something
it right now with you.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something so it's just all of the warmth from
I think
childhood and such as.
I had wondered because that is a go-to move of mine. Like rainy outside, Sunday afternoon, I don't want to get out of bed, put on a black and white
Bringing Up
movie. If
Baby,
it feels good,
Philadelphia
bringing up
Story.
baby. Well, I mean, the best is arsenic and old lace, but continue.
It really is. I'm just really pro killing old guys. So that's why I love it. Also, Cary
Yeah.
Grant was probably bisexual, and that turns me on.
That's what
All
everyone
right.
says. He's a good-looking
He
dude.
was gorgeous. Judy Garland didn't really even come into my scope until Winnie died, our first grandmother. When she
Mm,
died reaching for the hand of Jesus when we were
mhm.
12
When he came and got
is
her. I would
when
argue she never died. Like, God came and got her. I don't
oh
know
yeah,
what we
she's still
saw.
living.
There was
Yeah,
some shell
100%.
behind, but it wasn't her because God came and
And
got her, so
It was a very skinny shell. She was
There wasn't much
very
left to
cunt,
it.
very
There
fish.
w there
Anyway,
wasn't
so
much left to it.
he gave me, like, an old cassette that when he had of, like, an older Judy Garland, and he's like, "The woman you watch on TV in TCM, she had a lot of problems with drugs, so you can hear her voice is different." And I was
Would you
like, "Sold,
would you like to hear how bad it went?
sold, sold." And now that's the voice I prefer. I like her older voice. Anyway,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, I love it.
That's
I
interesting.
absolutely love it.
Can
Anyway,
you do it real quick? Can you do her old voice real quick?
oh, okay, hang on. I love you like
There you go.
no, I love you come rain or come
Yeah,
shine.
that's her. That's old
Thank
Judy.
you.
Yeah,
I
you
had to
did
put my
it.
arm up like this in order to do it. Okay, back to your original question. I've had this conversation. I think a lot of queer people talk to each other about this kind of stuff. Like, what was your growing up like? When did you know? That kind of
Well, I'm
thing.
sorry if this is boring. I'm just a straight guy trying to catch up here with all you gays.
It's not boring to queer people because we love hearing about ourselves.
That's true.
So I equate it to the same thing as little boys getting nervous around little girls. That's how I felt about boys. Obviously, it was not a sexuality thing at that point, but it was less about, ooh, I find boys attractive. It was more about, I just really identified with the feminine. I really loved playing with girls and I really loved girly things. I always felt super feminine, which growing up as we did was absolutely disgusting. One of the
Yeah.
worst things in the world was seeing a man
Yeah,
with
it
any
grossed me
sort of
out.
femininity. Yeah.
You sure did
It still
gross me out
does to
quite
this
a bit.
day. That's why I wore this
Mhm.
necklace just for you. It was difficult knowing that about myself and being 5 years old, right? When we were in kindergarten, because that's my first real memory that I'm
I was gonna
different.
ask, do you even remember? I
Yes.
don't even have a
Uh-huh.
memory from 5 years old.
Mrs. Turpin's class, I loved that bitch. But I remember I was always being encouraged to go play with the boys, like not to stick around the girls. And then on the
Yeah.
playground, same thing. And all the little boys would call me a girl. And I just remember being like, why is this so, what's happening here? Why is this such a big deal? And then
But then it
growing up
got
in the
easier,
church,
right? Kindergarten was tough for you,
oh,
but
yeah, yeah.
then it
Middle
just
school
got
was chill.
so much easier.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like,
Everyone
yeah.
knows kindergarten's the hardest part
Yeah,
of
yeah,
any
yeah.
school.
But then everyone
Yeah,
they kinda matured in 1st grade, 2nd grade, and they're like, "You know what? People are
yeah.
different. People are different. You be you."
I needed the emotional maturity of a second
Yeah.
grader to really pull me back down to earth. But as I grew up in the church, even before I was aware of, well, I was going to say before, but we learned about hell at 6 years old.
That's what I
So,
was gonna say is, like, when I was 6 and they were telling us that we've done bad things and we're going to hell if we don't have
mhm.
Jesus, nothing ever came to my mind. I was never like, "I do lie sometimes." Did you have an internal shame about being different at that age?
Yeah,
Wow.
not to the depth that I would later as like a 12-year-old
Well, we
because
put a lot of work into that shame at 12, but at,
and I
like,
earned it.
6? Yeah,
No,
you
I
did. You should've
guess
seen the way you walked.
I had felt that shame just in general of being effeminate, and I've told you a few times now, like, strangely, dad was pretty okay with how I acted. He never commented on my femininity. He never commented on my voice or how I stood or how I
Do you think
moved, but
which
mom
eventually he
did
did,
a
of course.
lot. Well, but no, he didn't. I mean, he maybe
Oh,
he does on Facebook now, but no, like he really just let me live my life. It was mom. I remember being really young and I think we were in like a Kmart. I don't know why that's
yeah.
so stuck out in my brain. The Kmart that became
I
a Hobby
love that.
Lobby.
I love that Kmart.
I loved that Hobby
Pour
Lobby before I
pouring out.
realized that Hobby Lobby did not love me. I remember being in a Kmart and I remember, I don't know if I was crossing my arms or I was doing something with my arms and mom's
Choreography of
kind of
some sort? You was doing choreography?
well, obviously, I never know if there's a casting director in the
That's
next
true.
aisle over
I really believe that, by the way.
in
Thank you a
Germantown,
lot.
Tennessee.
I did believe that. Do you believe that, right?
What?
I believed that we were going to be discovered at any moment by Nickelodeon. Did you
No,
not have that same delusion? Oh my
no.
gosh. Anytime we were in public, like when we were at Kmart or at the mall or whatever, I'd be like, now's the time.
You
And I
weren't
would
that
like,
entertaining.
I'd say really
What do you think you
loud,
were doing?
obnoxious jokes or try to do something funny.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah. You
yeah,
did. You did.
yeah, yeah."
You know where that came from is the fact that you did not feel different and you did not have to shield yourself. When I was in public as a
Okay.
kid, well,
Okay.
you
I'm
asked.
just kidding.
When I was in public as a kid, I tried to shrink myself and I tried to be invisible. And there would be
Yeah,
moments, obviously, like moments of comfort where we're in the
yeah.
food court and it's just us at the table and I might come to life. But the minute we step back out into the crowd, I'm just, don't look at me. Don't
I
look at
want you
me.
to know, listen, if I had been discovered by that Nickelodeon groomer, I'm assuming they were all groomers at that point,
Oh, yeah, you
but
would have
if I
been
had been
molested.
discovered
Yeah.
in that Kmart, I would have brought your little gay ass with me. I want you to know. I wouldn't have left you behind. I have a brother over here who's very versatile. He can do a lot of things.
I'm
Look at
not
the way he
versatile.
walks. Look at the way he
I
crosses his
will
arms.
I will be
What's up with
versatile
that?
if, like, if it's been a while and Curtis really wants me to, but I'm not very versatile. I like to just lay there. Once I got a little older and the church thing, a better understanding of what the church was saying,
Oh, I'm sorry. Of the truth? Is that what you meant to
yes,
say?
I
Of what the church
apologize,
was saying? You mean when
of
you
the
got a better
truth.
understanding of the truth that you
Yes,
were doing it wrong. Your wiener was
and I wasn't
connected
even
to the
doing
devil. Your
anything.
wiener was powered by the devil. You had a devil wiener.
Well, that's why it was
Proceed.
so red. Once I started to realize what that meant in the church, instead of it just being like, hide who you are out in public, it was like, hide who you are all the time. Again, like dad was cool. It was really just mom that was kind of a bitch about it.
Do you think that's because you guys were so close? You and mom were so close? I think dad, my guess is it wasn't because dad was just such a good guy. It was because like
He
dad
just,
didn't want to deal with it.
I
So
was
it was
kid
just
number
like,
4 of his. Yeah. He was
and
just like, whatever.
it just got pushed away.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what's so strange. Here I am at 40, still trying to figure out how I feel about everything with my relationship with my mother. But a main reason is because we were so close. I remember growing up, dad would always tell me that I was mom's favorite. Well, you're your mom's favorite. You're your mom's favorite. And I felt that for a long time. And really, what changed that for me was when she forced me out of the closet. From then on, I don't think that I like lost her. I think I never quite had the support and the love that I thought I had. And as I started to kind of love myself more, I realized that I didn't appreciate the love, quote unquote, that she was showing me. Ooh, that got dark.
Well, let's keep going. Let's get darker. What was the forced out of the closet story?
I was in college. It was summer break, and I was working at Camp Smile in Collierville, a camp for kids with disabilities. And I had worked all day. I came home, and my room was spotless. And mom, she would clean our rooms on occasion, but it was rare that she went deep into it. Like she was on some sort of Adderall fix, or I don't know. She deep cleaned the room, which honestly immediately gave me a like, uh-oh, why is the room like this?
Well, she would snoop when she cleaned.
That's what she was doing.
Yeah.
So I was long distance dating because this was before apps. So finding a gay person was really hard. And like finding someone in your area felt impossible. So I was long distance dating this guy in Ohio. It was so stupid. But we used to write each other letters, like little love
How'd you
letters
meet?
and stuff like that. Gay.com.
I'm sorry. What?
Do you remember the lesbian with really dry hands in concert choir?
That's a super specific detail, but no, I don't.
Well,
I'm
we
sorry.
we went to 6th through 12th with her, so I didn't know if you remembered her. Anyway,
Mm.
she was just this very butch girly pop, and when I was in high school, she slipped me a sheet of paper that just said gay.com, and she's like, "This is a website that I just chat with people, and I think maybe you would like to chat with people too." And I never acknowledged it. I took the paper, and then boom, I was off to the races. They
Man,
had like
early
they had
internet, guys.
chat
Wow.
rooms and they had like
Mhm.
personals. But I met this guy and we'd written each other letters. And what I had done is the backpack I was using at college in the front pocket had a separate zipper to a smaller pocket. And in that pocket, I ripped out the bottom seam. I put all the letters inside that hidden seam. So in order to get to the letters, you would have had to open the first pocket, open the second pocket, and then think to go down to the little hole at the bottom and then reach
Wow.
inside.
That is some strong homophobia to push you to those limits. I'm
I
gonna
was
find those
terrified.
letters.
I was
Not you,
absolutely
I mean
terrified.
her to find them.
My goal was to make it through college without them knowing so I could get a job so that when they did find out I was gay and they disowned me, I wouldn't be homeless. So, anyway, so I come home, I see the room, and I'm like, oh, mom has clearly been crying. And I know instantly. I know she's found the letters. She's obviously, I'm paraphrasing because it was a pretty traumatic experience. So I don't, I don't have the best memory of it. But I do remember her saying, like, with just so much disgust, I found the letters. I was like, okay. And like my heart's racing. I think I'm about to be homeless, and I'm like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? What am I going to do? And she's like, we didn't raise you like this. This is disgusting. Do you want to live in hell? She starts crying and she's saying horrific things. And the thing I remember most, I may not remember all of the words, but I remember the gritted teeth that she talked to me through. Just the hatred that was just coming out of her. And it was just all at me. And I said, okay, well, are you going to tell dad? Because that was what I was most afraid of, stupidly. And she's like, no, it would kill him. Do you want to be responsible for killing your father?
What a
And I was like,
crazy thing to say.
oh, yeah, no, it was really
Because
bad.
now you would want that. You would
Oh,
wanna
yeah.
be
I mean, I
responsible
didn't
for that.
know that
That's
I would enjoy
interesting.
that so much. I wish she
Yeah,
had contextualized it better.
a lot of things have
Anyway,
changed.
and then like a year later, Amanda had gotten to MC, and then I got really sick. I left school, and Amanda, our sister, wrote me a letter on Laguna Letterhead, her little women's club. I still have it. It's one of the funniest letters I've ever received. It was like 2 pages front and back, handwritten in her like crazy cursive. And it was like, found your live journal. She found it through Jennifer Hunter, I think.
Jay
And I
Hunt, I know
was
you listen.
I was using
I do.
LiveJournal as a way to test being gay. I wasn't ready to tell anyone in real life. I was too scared. So I was writing these like really mundane things just about what had happened that day. But I would
Right.
throw in something about seeing a hot guy, like I was like, ooh, what is this? And it felt so wrong. And anyway, so Amanda found it. She wrote me this long letter and it was filled with Bible verses. But my favorite part of the letter was, and she's so embarrassed by this now. Just want to clarify. This is not something,
Yeah, this is
this was
not
20
still a
years
man.
ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
this was 20 years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
she goes, I know what you're going through. I have also sinned as an adult. I once had a beer at a party
Ugh.
and I really had to pray. Anyway, so she compared my sexuality to her drinking a beer at a party.
Guys, that's how we grew up.
It's truly one of the best letter. Like at the time, I don't remember my reaction. I honestly don't, but I did think to keep it. I'm glad I did. And then I don't know how you were next, but I don't know how did we talk about it?
This also involves Amanda. She found your live journal and she
That's our
called
sister, by
me.
the way. I don't know if we had said that.
She found your live journal and called me and asked me to come meet her because she couldn't come in my dorm because guys and girls can't be in the same dorm because, fornication.
Well, you
So
lived in Mississippi. Let's be honest. You might have fucked your sister.
we met outside and she showed me your live journal. She told me your life. I don't know. Anyway, she was like, Drew's gay. And I was like, what gave you that impression? Like the way he talks or looks or his general
Everything about
interests,
him.
everything
Yeah.
about the way he approaches life. What gave you that indication? And so I remember I told her, because Amanda's a letter writer. If there was a conflict or whatever, like she'd write a letter. That's just the way she handled it. I knew she was going to write you a letter. And I
Oof.
said, do not put me in the letter. Don't tell him that I know because I want him to tell me when he's ready to tell me. Like, this is really important to him. I don't want him to be forced into a conversation he doesn't want to have. So my recollection is that she mentions me in the letter. Does she?
I think so, but I
Yeah.
don't remember.
Well, I think she did. We all came home for Christmas. You came up to me, I don't know, at the house or whatever, and you just sat down and you go, so I heard you know I'm gay. And I was like, yeah, I picked up on that. And you're like, so what do you think? And I don't know. I said something like, I don't care. You're my brother. You know how I feel about you. And then later, we were all out shopping and mom wanted to go find clothes and you were helping her find clothes. And so you left us in Starbucks, me and dad. And dad goes, do you think he's gay? Dad was the only one who didn't know. He was in the dark or
He was
whatever.
the one I was most afraid of.
And so I was like, Dad, like, yeah. Like, come on. Yeah,
Mhm.
you should probably just talk to him about it. He's like, "Okay." But he wasn't, like, devastated, he wasn't pissed, he was just like,
Well,
"Okay."
later that night,
Then
he
he went and looked
did.
at porn.
He came into my room and he sat down on my bed. This was only a couple days before Christmas. Again, I had the same feeling. As soon as he sat down, I knew what was about to happen, or I thought I knew what was about to happen. And my first thought was, I wonder if Mama and Papa will let me stay with them. Like, I was just having all of these, or not Papa, he was dead. But I just remember thinking, like, okay, what's my plan B? I'm about to get kicked out of the house. It was late at night, I think. And so I was like, that's complicated. I wonder if they'll let me take my car or if like they won't let me have a car, all of that. And dad just goes, well, we need to talk about your sexuality. And I was like, okay. And he goes,
I don't like that.
so are you gay? And I was like, yeah. And I think I started crying because I was so scared. And he's like, well, why didn't you tell me? And I was like, honestly, Dad, between all the butt pirate and fudge packer jokes, there just wasn't enough time. I said
And
something
Ellen
like sassy
DeGenerate.
like that. Ellen
Yeah.
the degenerate. Yeah. Turns out he was right. Wrong reason, but
Wrong
he was right.
reason, though, but he was right, yeah, it's a good point.
But he was so chill. He said that he loved me and he wanted me to be happy. And the only concern he had was AIDS. And I guess, like, when he used to work on an ad campaign for Maybelline or Revlon or something, the
Yep,
guy he worked on, like, died
yep,
during the AIDS
from
epidemic. And
AIDS. Yeah,
he just really wanted to make sure that I was being safe. And it was just a very normal, kind conversation, which is when dad and I got really close after that. The rest of my college career, and even into me moving to Louisville and the first ish year I lived in Chicago, he and I got along really well. He was just really supportive. He asked me a lot of questions about had I been dating, and he was really nice. He was
but
really,
then he
really
got
nice.
Facebook and
But then he
everything
got Facebook,
changed.
yeah. Yeah, so I would say mom and to a much lesser degree, Amanda were really hard to come out to. Well, I didn't come
Did
out to them. I was outed by them.
There was a point with mom
Mhm.
where it sounds like it was combative at first, like, it sounds like, I mean,
Very.
she didn't kick you out, but it sounds like it's almost as bad as it could have been,
Yeah.
which is so crazy too because I had no idea. I didn't know there was tension between you
Mm.
2, like, I didn't know like, I never picked up on it.
Well, that summer, you were fingering Angela under the nutcracker blanket basically all day. So I think you were
Yeah,
very
but, like
distracted.
but I was on the lookout. I didn't want anyone to walk in, so I should have noticed there was tension in the house. So, there had to be a point where it turned, though, because it didn't did it stay combative? Like, once everyone knew and it's like, "Alright, Drew's gay."
So I got sick. I got a strep infection and I had to drop out of school. And then I had surgery and I had to live at home for like the rest of the semester. So there were like 3 months that I was basically bedridden, honestly. Mom does what mom does in that she ignores everything. She'll have her little outburst and then she doesn't want to talk about it. So it was pretty normal until I do remember I got a phone call from the guy I was dating in Ohio and mom came in and I was on the
Ralph.
phone. I was just saying like how my day was going, like it was just a normal conversation. And I don't know if I had said babe or something, but mom lost it. She got so mad and she took my phone and said that I wasn't allowed to talk to him in this house and, all of this kind of stuff. And I remember getting angry, like yelling because I was stuck in bed. I had this giant cube on my arm. I couldn't move like my arm at all. And I just started screaming that when I was better, I would move out. And that's the only time I remember post coming out that she like confronted me again. Well,
When you were
when
physically
y'all went
weak,
to
when you
yeah,
couldn't move?
well, she's smart. When
That
y'all
is
went
smart.
to the Exodus Ministries, you and mom went to the
Yeah,
Pray the
we
Gay
did.
Away conference. She
We
did give me the
100% did.
book. She did give me the book, You Don't Have to Be Gay, which I still have. It's one of the funniest books I've ever seen. It's a man standing behind blinds and he's peeking through the blinds.
So,
What does that mean?
can I tell you a little bit about the conference, what I remember?
Why did you go?
Because mom had asked me to. Mom
Okay.
really wanted to go, but she didn't wanna go by herself. And I remember going in and going like, "This sucks," because the presenters were clearly gay. And by the way, most of the people I heard speak, they're with they're gay. They're married to men
Yeah,
now.
all of that fell
So
apart. Yeah.
it all fell apart. But I remember leaving there feeling better because at the time, I know this sounds silly, especially like for Gen Z, because I don't know if, and maybe I'm just ignorant. I don't know if you've ever even heard this as a real argument, but at the time, it was all about choice. You're
Mhm.
gay because you choose to be gay. I don't mean, now
Mhm.
listen, I don't mean you're gay, you choose to act on it. No, no, no.
No,
There
you
was a
choose to be
true
attracted.
argument that it's like,
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna be attracted to men. Like, it was
Yeah.
so fucking crazy. And there was one guy who said something like, I know this sounds so silly. He was just like, it's not a choice. If we believe that it's a sin and we believe that the world has fallen into sin, then our biology can fall into sin. And they're literally made that way. And then I went, oh, and it just hit me. And I was like, yeah, that's just Drew's just made that way. Like, what the fuck? Who cares? Okay, then fuck off.
That's
Like,
the
why are we
that
talking about it?
that was the thing that always killed me about that argument is I don't wanna be separated from my family. I don't wanna be different. And if
I don't
it's a
wanna go to hell.
choice, I'm not
Right,
choosing that. Why in the
right.
fuck would I choose that? It was hard, but do you know what it is about and queer people who are listening, I wonder if you feel the same way. I don't want retribution. All I want in this really fucked up story that happened is for everyone to admit, to just take on their role in it. The thing that I think a lot of boomer parents do is they focus on the intention instead of the impact. It's almost as if the intention can outweigh the impact, cancel it out
Right, right.
completely. And so I have had a conversation with mom once about me coming out or about her forcing me out and what that was like. Number one, not only did she say she didn't remember it at all, but number two, she just kept saying,
Seems
"That doesn't
suspect.
sound like me. I wouldn't do that. Did I do that? Oh, I didn't do that." And all I wanted, and all I still want, honestly, from her today, I just want her to say, "Ooh, I made a lot of mistakes. And now I'm going to go get some help so I can hopefully not make those mistakes again because I don't want you to hurt." That's all I want.
Yeah,
That's all I want. And I think a lot of queer people want that. We understand the humanity in everyone. I understand why she did what she did. It's fucked
yeah.
up, but I understand. You know, you had asked me a long time ago. I don't know if you remember this. It was one of the first times I cut off contact with mom. You had said, "Well, what do you want? Do you want her to march in a pride parade?" I remember you said that. I didn't know at the time exactly what I wanted. But no, I don't need my mom to walk a parade and be the P flag mom that's posting constantly about gay issues and all of that. No, I don't need that. But now that she knows the damage that was done, and now that she knows, hopefully, or maybe she doesn't, now that she knows that being gay isn't wrong, I just want her to stand up for me when people say mean things about me. I know it's a little more complicated, but when dad makes horrible posts about me, including my death, I want her to say, "Don't." I just want I just want her to say that I'm worth more. That I'm worth more to her than that.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I'm not. I'm not to her. I'm not. That sucks. I don't feel like I'm asking for mountains to move. Am I? Maybe I am.
No.
This got dark, 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 dark. Fart, 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 diarrhea. Whew. I'm just trying to bring myself back.
She may not give you that, but I bet
No,
she
she
gets you an
won't.
iPad.
I did think when I realized I
Would you
needed
like
a
an
new
iPad?
computer, I was like, should I reach out just to get a new computer?
I can't imagine what you must feel that that's all you want, you know? And like, I can't imagine someone saying that they love me and then not giving me something that seems like you should give that you would give that to anybody. Why can't you give it to me? So Drew, I'm sorry. I wish I could change it.
Was it Mama's funeral or Aunt Brenda's? I don't know. They were so close together, but I think it was Mama's when Dad had told Angela that he was going to confront me and demand an apology from me. And then
Oh,
you and Dad got into it, and then everyone left the house just to get away from him.
because he was being an asshole because you were in the house. He kept calling you Darby. He wouldn't call you by your name. And I was furious. And he kept pulling that shit. And he was treating mom like shit because mom wanted you in the house. And I guess he was pissed.
I wasn't allowed to stay in the house. I had to stay in a hotel, but I was allowed
I
to
thought that
go
was
to the
space.
house. Mm.
My family was there and Amanda's family was there. I thought it was
Yeah,
space.
and I told mom that I would sleep on the couch or I would sleep in an air mattress, that this was like a family funeral and everyone's going to be under the same roof for the first time, maybe ever, because it was all the kids. And I told her I really wanted to stay there. And she didn't tell me why, because, she doesn't. But she was like, I think you'd be more comfortable in this hotel.
Did something had happened, right? Like you and dad were having a
It's a
conflict?
it's a
Okay, we don't
really
have to get
long
into
story.
it.
No, no, no.
My
I've told you this. I gotten on Facebook and saw a lot of his posts
Yeah,
about,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
drag queens should be murdered and gay people
Mhm.
choose this and, all this stupid shit. And I had not reacted well. So anyway, so he was telling Angela, yeah, that like that day, oh, when Drew comes over, I'm gonna confront him and
And I
he owes me an
overheard it.
apology.
And I
Yeah.
and I had already been in conflict with him because he had gotten on to mom about loading a dishwasher or something. Like literally like she was a child. And I said, "Hey man, get the hell out of here." And he was like, "What?" And he gritted his teeth. Like he like bowed up to me. He's 80 years old. And I just said, "What are you doing? Are you gonna fight me? What the fuck is your problem?" And he goes, I'm gonna deal with you later. And he like walked out and I followed him and I was like, her mom's dead. What the fuck? And he's like,
Hmm.
don't use that language in my house. And I was like, oh, the word fuck? Okay, all right. That's the problem here. Her mother is dead. She needs you. Shut up. Do whatever she wants you to do and shut up. Like, are you serious? He was like, you've never talked to me like that before. I won't stand for it. And I was like, all right, whatever, buddy. And so we had already done that. But then, yes, Angela was talking to him in the kitchen and he said that and I overheard it from the living room. And I tried to handle it well. And like I went and talked to him and like I took him to another room so we weren't around anybody. I didn't want him to be embarrassed. And I was like, Dad, and I was like really calm. I was using the Bible. Like this is how we love people is we put their needs in front of us and we whatever. Anyway, and he's unbending and he's like gonna confront you or whatever. We start yelling at each other basically and I burst into tears because I thought, okay, well, he doesn't care about Drew, does he care about me? And I was like, Dad, look at what you're doing to me. I don't want anything to do with you because of the way you treat Drew. Do you understand what that does to me? When you rip him apart, you rip me apart. And I'm like ugly crying, like sobbing crying. And do you know what he did? He turned around and walked out. Oh, I remember what it was. I'm sobbing, crying, ugly crying. And I said, Dad, you have all these sons that don't want anything to do with you. Who's the problem? Is it you
Yeah.
or is it them? And he said, it must be them. And I'm like bawling. And he just turns around and walks out. And I follow him out. I shouldn't have. And I like yelled at him. It cleared the whole house. It was
And I
cool.
got
It was cool.
I got a text from you or Ange that was like, don't come to the house. Because we were at Starbucks waiting on everyone's orders. We were bringing the coffee over to the house. Don't come here. We were putting a plan together. Don't come here. And I was like, okay. And we ended up going to a barbecue place or something. I don't fucking know. It doesn't
The
matter.
commissary, my favorite place in
Oh,
the
yeah.
world. But go ahead.
We
You can
went to the
throw it away
Collierville
as
commissary.
if
Well, it
it's
was the
nothing.
Collierville one. I don't know the
Yeah, that's
Collierville
true.
one. You and Angela, of course, went above and beyond to just make sure I was okay. Like, especially Ange kept asking if I was okay. Because obviously, the mood in this commissary was low, and that was the last time I saw mom in person. And she wouldn't even ask if I was okay or I'm so sorry that happened. And I think even, and this is my fault, but I think even I apologized to her.
I had never noticed that that was true of her. I guess because this speaks to my privilege, I didn't need her to stand up for me. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? And so, like, I didn't know that was true. And then I went to therapy and figured out that I'm like that. And I've been teaching my kids to be like that. And my therapist was like, where does it come from? And I was like, holy shit, it comes from my mom. And then you and I spoke more about your story. And it just helped unlock so many things for me where I was like, I didn't see the dysfunction, like I just didn't see it.
And I
Um,
didn't see it either. Because when I got into therapy, I really pushed back against childhood stuff affecting me as an adult. I just wasn't ready
yeah.
to deal with that. Then I got into 12 step for my sex addiction and I had to confront that. And so I started
What
doing
do you
so in
remember what our
therapy.
church said about that stuff?
What?
About childhood stuff? Like, about
Mm-mm.
therapy? Our church was very anti-therapy and
Very.
very anti looking into your childhood, that it was your fault. You need to take responsibility. Kinda like an anti-welfare type of attitude of, like,
Yeah.
it's not
Cruel.
everyone else's fault.
So in therapy, I finally do start breaking down like why am I like this? And because I did, I completely blamed myself for everything. I blamed myself for the sex addiction. I blamed myself for my essay as a teenager, as a child, because I was disgusting. And I was the one that made all of the wrong decisions. It wasn't until I was forced to confront it that I realized how insanely dysfunctional our family actually is. The first time I sat mom and dad, I went home specifically. I planned a trip because my therapist and I had been working on this for like almost 2 years. And he's like, I think you're ready to have this conversation with them, but it should be in person. So I booked the trip and I fly to Memphis and I tell them about my essay stuff. I tell them about the sex addiction and that it started when I was like 14. They took me to our child pediatrician when I had gonorrhea as a 14-year-old and
Mhm.
asked no questions. They said, who was it? I made up a name. That was enough. I was 14. But I'm telling them all this, and obviously, like, I'm crying, and I'm just like, I'm not telling you this as like a way to blame you or make you feel bad. I just have been carrying the responsibility of this my entire life, and I can't carry it by myself. Will you carry it with me? Was exactly what I said because we had rehearsed it 1,000 times. And dad sat back with his arms crossed and said, well, I didn't do it. And made some reference to the church and whatever. So he's like, I'm not apologizing. I'm not taking any, that's not me. That's all your
Reference to
fault.
the church.
That it was obviously because I had strayed from the church that I had acted on these impulses.
That's true. Nothing bad ever happens to anyone in the
Mm-mm.
church, and I'll
No.
be the first to say it. Nothing bad ever happened to me in the church.
And mom just cried. At one point, when dad said something horrendous, it took a while, but like, a little bit into him just saying awful things, she was like, honey, just listen to him. But she didn't say anything. And then I turned to her and I was like, okay, so am I doing this alone? So you're not doing it with me either. She's like, what do I do? And I was like, can you just say you're sorry to hear that? Can you just say, I'm so sorry that you were sexually abused as a child? Can you just say that? If a stranger came up to me crying, telling me about their trauma as a child, I would say, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry to hear that." Ugh, it's just not loving. It's
Yeah,
not
it's not.
kind.
One of the things, are you considering how far the therapist may be from her? Like, how far of a drive that is?
That is true.
Gas prices,
And
inflation.
she's too old to use Zoom. There's no way she'd be able to figure that out. You know what?
So,
Never mind. I owe her an apology. Maybe I should buy her a computer.
we should actually just end this podcast so you can call her right now and just say you're sorry. And in fact, we'll
You know
record it and
what?
we'll put it on Patreon.
Okay, well, we were gonna listen to voicemail, but this has been going on way too long. I apologize. This was
And
a
it's
really
too
dark
sad now.
episode, but
No, but
thank you,
I
everyone.
appreciate you sharing it. I had asked you a while ago about this topic, and I knew it would take a lot more out of you to have to share something like that, but I'm glad you did. I mean, one, I appreciate hearing more of your story, but also how many queer people are out there right now with that story and they feel like they're the only ones, or how many out there are feeling different from their family or distant from their family, and maybe your story is giving them some answers, or at least just the feeling that they're not alone. So it's important. And for like straight people who may be listening, all five of you, we have a group text. It's a reminder for us to open our eyes and our ears a little bit more. There's so many times in the story you told where I didn't see what was happening. And again, I know it's a buzzword, but it was my privilege. I didn't need my mom to stand up for me, so I didn't notice that she wasn't standing up for you. But I could have. I could have noticed. You know what I mean? Like,
You
and
are to
so
blame
there's
for most of this.
I get it. I get it. But like, Angela's a great example. My wife, she keeps her eyes and ears open. She is
She's
constantly
the kindest person in the
She's
entire
super
world.
empathetic. She's always looking outside of herself. And so straight people, if there are queer people in your life that you love, or queer people in your life that you kind of like or you put up with, we need to be more vigilant. Like, I wish I had seen more. I wish I had set my privilege to the side a little bit and seen more what you're going through so I could have been there for you. I'm sorry I wasn't.
It's okay.
So
And that's
oh,
a
it's okay.
perfect.
Alright.
No, I mean
Thanks.
that's a perfect
I'm just
example
kidding.
of I think what a lot of us are looking for. It's just that acknowledgement. I've learned a lot in these last 20 years. I'm so sorry that I wasn't there earlier. That's all I need. The other thing though, like
Okay, done.
let's end on a positive. I think the positive that I'd like everyone to take away from this is the
This mustache.
resiliency, the resilient, despite the mustache, of queer people to go through all of this and to fight to survive, it feels like sometimes. But we do. Like I'm not a mean person. I'm
You
not
sure do.
I'm kind. I care for others. I have empathy for others. I live a good life and I have a loving marriage. And that is despite everything that happened to me. And that's cool. Queer people, we are strong. We really are. Anyway, so I just want to say to all the queers out there, you are a lot stronger than you think you are. You really are.
I wanna say to
Yeah.
all the straight people out there, they're a lot
You're
stronger than we
weak.
thought, and
You're
we
weak.
need to increase the pressure, okay? Because
Yeah.
they will take over.
Mhm.
They will top us. I used your
Well, not
language
all of
there.
us. Not all of us.
Some
I'll
of them will
bottom for
bottom
you.
us. Don't
Yeah.
say that
All
to me
right,
ever
let's
again.
go.
Alright.
I gotta go cry for just like 5 minutes, and then I'll be over it.
I'm completely unmoved. I've never felt
I could
better.
tell.
Alright,
I could
well,
tell. Great. Thank you, everyone. Sorry about the voicemail miss this week, but we'll be back next
oh,
week.
that's 2 weeks in a row.
Goodbye.
Bye.